Ooh,
Hello
we're
Uh,
live. Let's check the sound on the stream.
on Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch. And then we can do the intro a bit. Okay.
Does it look good?
Actually, it's really hard. I can't look at it because I'm hosting this time. That
Oh,
was done. You have to look.
yeah.
I usually check, but I forgot that I'm host this time.
Oh, Twitch.tv. Oh, no, not Torch. Twitch.
mhm.
Uh,
It's in the chat.
yeah, I got it. Yep. Mhm. Um, yeah, go ahead and say something.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. No. Yes. Maybe.
Can you hear us? Is there a log? Is there a lag? Log lag.
He looks. Nathan, can you hear us? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good.
Yep.
it sounds good. Great.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I guess we can start.
Cool. Yeah,
Hello. Welcome to Philosophising. My name is Ruby,
I'm Nathan.
and today we
Ron.
have a special guest, my lab mate and a really cool friend. No lag, Evie Neuro. Thank you. Okay, so we brought a guest today, as you can see, the third person. Person is named Rowan. Um, and actually, will you read your introduction
Oh yeah. Of course.
that we blogged out for you? That would be really awesome. This is Dr. Al-Suvi.
Yeah.
Al-Suvi.
So yeah, we're doing well. um, so yeah, my name's Rawan. I'm from Saudi Arabia originally. I am currently a fellow, an Ibn Khaldun fellow, in the Sir Lab with Ruby. And I did my PhD at University College London with Dr. Andrew McCaskill, looking at amygdala hippocampal circuitry and basically making mice like things that they didn't care about before is my thesis. So yeah.
So making mice care about things they didn't
They
like
didn't care.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
Oh,
Okay.
that it's like I basically like the mice. I made the mice have place preference after a while, and I could
I
control
see.
that. Yeah, but it's place preference is a
Yeah.
very simple task.
Wait. Okay. So today's topic is Mad Docs, and okay, when you like paraphrase your entire PhD thesis into that, like I can make someone like a place that they
That they
didn't
didn't
like
care about. Yeah,
previously
it's
Mhm.
like
not that they
before.
didn't like it; they just didn't care. Like I can make you like it. Like
That does sound quite mad.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we thought it would be really cool to start off the stream with some of our like, I don't know, like our childhood, like first impressions of a scientist, and like do like a mad one and like a less mad one, like maybe a protagonist and an antagonist one.
mm.
Yeah.
Growing up. And so we each prepared a couple.
I am curious while we're getting started that late. So how did you make the mice? Like, how did you give them the place preferences?
So I used optogenetics and activated input from the amygdala to the hippocampus,
Hmm.
and that seemed to induce place preference. So like I had two chambers. One part was where like they were both indistinguishable from each other, and then one part would have the mouse. When the mouse came in, they would get they would like the laser would turn on. It would activate that circuit, and then they would basically want to spend more time in that chamber.
I
Like
see. Yeah. So the mouse would go in the chamber, and something about this circuit would then be kind of like it was simulating, like it had had a good time, or it was making it
yeah,
like some sort of
like
signal that
something
would
made it
normally be.
important, more
Hmm.
important than
I
nothing.
see.
And
Hmm.
then I figured out that within the hippocampus, if you remove a connection from the hippocampus to the nucleus accumbens, you can turn that off. So if you can, so the amygdala and the nucleus accumbens were working together to
Hmm.
induce this kind of place preference in these mice. So
How did you find the circuit to begin with? Like there's like so
yeah,
many areas, like like why did you guys like were like, hey, we're gonna check this place and really specifically look at these
yeah, that's a very
like
good
anatomical
question.
parts.
And I think like half of me was just like, oh my God, circuits, let's do any circuit. Like I'm just so excited. And being at UCL, almost everyone works on the hippocampus. Like it's the place where people found place cells. So we love the hippocampus at UCL. One of the main things was that with the technology of having channelrhodopsin, it meant that the amygdala axons wouldn't be severed when you would like look at this connectivity of amygdala input into the hippocampus. So it was both the technology that was now there that allowed us to do these types of experiments, to really investigate this input, because it's one of like the least investigated inputs into the hippocampus. And just like hapstance that my supervisor was into ventral hippocampus, and that's where the majority of amygdala input goes.
Got it.
And that's an area where like the hippocampus no longer it's like not as like there's not as many place cells. So we had like the idea that maybe when the hippocampus is working, which is, you know, thought to like map the world for you, you would have to also navigate the world in a way that like to get reward, right? Like not just know how to navigate, but navigate to gain something. So we figured this would be a cool experiment.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Nate, we just jumped right into like the science. We forgot to
Yeah.
do the fun
I
part.
mean, I was just really curious about this. And I mean, I guess the other thing that I was curious about is like when you did this, so it relies on the nucleus accumbens, but this signal is coming from the amygdala. So do you think like what is going on with that? Like, is it this signal is creating a connection between the hippocampus and the accumbens, or?
Yeah, I think maybe sometimes you're not sure about the environment you're in, and you need like input from different brain regions. And because the hippocampus is good with memory and learning and mapping a space, that it made sense to us to like look at how, you know, you were navigating these, like how the brain would navigate these questions.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
also, Evie Neuro was asking, what age did you look at for this? I'm assuming that means like age of mice.
Oh yeah, they're just adult mice, not too old, not too young, healthy adult mice.
Yeah. Do you think it would be better, or do you think it'll be like these kinds of like learned fear or learned preferences would not exist in really young animals because they hadn't had enough experiences deciding? Do you know what I mean? Like life experience decide, like, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like if you're raised in a bubble with like no, you know, materials, like no floors and like nothing, like a white room where they had no textures, no sounds, in a sensory bubble.
so that's a good segue into the little Albert experiment, actually, because these two scientists in like the 1920s wanted to prove that you could actually learn fear, like you need to learn fear, that it could be learned, and it's not like an innate instinct that if you saw something scary, you would run. Like you would actually need to learn that as a child. So they got this poor kid called Little Albert, who they wanted to basically induce a fear of like white rats, right? So before they did it, like Albert was chill with the rats, he was fine, like he didn't care, like he would play with the rats, he was fine. And then the experiment was that they would get this poor little child, they would hit like a pipe or a hammer behind him so that he couldn't see it, but he could hear a very loud voice, a very, very loud noise and a very loud bang. And then they would introduce this rat into this white rat. And so little Albert learned that the white rat meant a loud noise, and that would induce fear response without the loud noise. So
would he
every
just
time
freeze?
he
Like-
would just freeze, and he would why would you do this? Exactly, why would you do this? This is ridiculous. Like, no one, who thought of this?
Well, the idea was like if you never experienced like something negative before,
So
then
this
you
was
wouldn't
this
be able to.
whole debate that you can't learn something innate, or that
Yeah.
like fear is innate and so unlearnable. But you
Yeah.
can actually induce fear to something benign, as like a white rat that did nothing to you, by associating it with something that was now causing like a startle or a surprise or like a fear. So then the white rat would just cause little Albert to cry, right? And then he grew up also, it wasn't just the white rat, it was actually an association with everything white and furry, like even Santa Claus.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So like a white slipper would.
Anything white and furry he was terrified of for the rest of his life. which was
Poor child.
admittedly a short life. Like he died of something else like when he was 7.
Oh no.
Oh
Wait,
wow.
wait,
Uh,
but isn't this like I was gonna say, like this fear of loud noise though, that's innate. Or like a dislike of a loud, you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah, but it's the whole transferable thing, right? Like, okay, you startle at at a loud noise,
yeah,
but
that's
once,
an innate for sure.
yeah,
Everyone is born with this. You don't have to learn to
yeah,
dislike a loud noise. Like you just will dislike it.
yeah, and then you'll have this. Um, if you have another like a thing that's not supposed to be scary but happens at the same time as the scary thing, you'll associate it with the scary thing and be
Uh,
scared of it, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
And so that was the whole point of this experiment, was to demonstrate that we
Yeah,
could learn to be scared of things.
yeah,
Yeah.
things that aren't scary
Mhm.
by just building an association, which is
Wait, so when did that experiment, like this 1920s experiment, get connected to like the amygdala is for fear? Like when did that connection happen?
That's I was looking into this as well, but like basically because there's such a because of all these experiments that came after that figured out that this association or this conditioned association is to do with the amygdala and fear. It's not like it was just a buildup of like how Pavlovian conditioning works, and then when you shock rats, if you do the same experiment in mice, which is exactly what we do, we give them a noise and then we give them a shock. The area that lights up is the amygdala.
Wait,
And also from human studies, like
wait, wait, wait. Wait, is that the other way around? Because the shock came first, right, for Albert? Or like the
mm,
loud noise came first and then the rat came? Or was it
it
just paired naturally?
is associated. Joseph Ledoux
Ah.
could tell us. Oh yeah, that's very yeah. Joseph Ledoux will tell us it's all about fear. I almost met him once. I was on holiday and he came to visit UCL, but I have some beef with that dude.
Wait, the science beef? Is there like tea?
It's
Like
science. He basically like so there's a lot like the amygdala is known primarily for this like fear conditioning paradigm, and he would like that's the only thing he published, and it was so annoying because like we didn't learn more about the amygdala because like the field was like amygdala is fear and anxiety, but like really amygdala is more like how do you make sense of an environment and how do you learn associations. That's how I think of it, like
I see.
salience almost.
yeah.
That's really interesting. That was one of the questions I was going to ask, is kind of what is the modern view of what the amygdala does? And so would you say it's kind of like associative learning? And how is it like, what is the view of kind of how what it does is different from the hippocampus?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. So, like, traditionally, it's associated with the fear response and anxiety. But I think now we've understood that there are different brain connections to the amygdala. And so, what it really is good at doing is taking a sensory stimulus that, like, means nothing and making it mean
Mhm.
something. The only
Hmm.
reason we
Mhm.
focused on fear is because fear is so easy to test and it's so easy to induce. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I think it's kind of it's really good at making sense of an environment that you don't understand and like assigning value in the most basic form.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is there like examples of positive valence versions of like
Absolutely, yeah.
okay, so it
So
totally works for like not shitty things too,
yeah,
not
yeah.
like loud
It's just I
noises and
think
foot
it's just
shocks and
harder to like figure out non-shitty things. Like I think
mm,
fear was just very reproducible, super like easy to do in the lab, like
yeah.
clean data, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
So
it's not clean actually, but
so like if we're really reductive about it, does that just make it like a pattern recognizing? Like a hub of pattern recognizing?
I would say it's not just that. It's more like there's a theme of pattern recognition, but there's also like there's a it's also putting in internal state, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're thirsty, water means way more than it means when you're not thirsty, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
and in that sense, how long, like, what are the time scales of like activating the make, like, how long does it work? Like, is it just like a couple milliseconds, like minutes, or like hours, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, once you
it
like,
depends. I'm not entirely sure. I think it depends.
Like, so
But
this
like,
burst of activity that happens like when a meaningful stimulus happens, you're asking about like how
it's
long does it
oh,
last for?
so okay. Wait, I had a thought that I wanted to say. I
Mhm.
forgot. So yeah. Well, you have okay, so you have different areas of the brain that are connected, and then you have so if you look at it purely in a connectivity sense, the lateral amygdala will receive like all this input from the thalamus, and that like synapses will change immediately actually. So like that's pretty fast, but then how do you broadcast that to something like more like how do you generalize, right? Like
Yeah.
what like Nathan was talking about, like PTSD, right, and the amygdala.
Mhm.
So let's say you PTSD is like an exaggerated form of how that process could go wrong, right? Like
Yeah.
instead of just learning, oh, like this means bad, now the stimulus, or like the noise, or the you start associating it with like you have an exaggerated response to that. So yeah, but
Yeah.
and then I think the hippocampus is a crazy place. I kind of miss it.
Like, neurons are organized really
Yeah,
well.
so pretty and so structured, and
Wait, so now that we kind of sort of know that this is like a possible place that could cause PTSD,
mm,
like, is there like a targeted effort into like helping relieve people of PTSD?
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
by like perturbing these connections, or like basically wiping out PTSD? Or
Yeah,
like, or bring it, like, reduce it? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can like dial it back a little bit. Like, has people tried it in the mice? Like, we can induce them, right? We can induce the system. Like, can we
Mhm.
in that same animal, like,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
fix
yeah, yeah.
it?
You can do
So we could have
extinction.
fixed little Albert, is
Yeah,
the idea. Like,
yeah.
like, in future we could.
Absolutely, we could have fixed little
I know this poor,
by
this poor
basically
child
not subjecting him to that.
to begin with.
And so in mice, how do they actually do that? Like, is it you're trying to silence certain neuron populations, or?
Um, so you basically re-expose the animal to
Mhm,
the noise, or the thing that was causing
mhm.
um, the reaction, and but don't give them a shock, and then with time
I
they'll
see.
forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
So
you
just
just start, yeah.
behaviorally.
So
Yeah.
behaviorally, you start blocking them. You can do it. It's much
Yeah.
faster to do it. Like if you're doing optogenetics, for example, you could like activate, I think, to the PFC, like would
Hmm.
increase extinction,
Hmm.
so will
Yeah.
increase the learning rate, right? But there's also
Hmm.
like it's kind of problematic because sometimes it like you will get it reinstated in a different context than it was extinguished in. So yeah,
Hmm.
so like the environment and the context, and it's not as easy or straightforward.
Right.
Yeah,
And
But
that kind of
presumably,
answers.
like,
Oh, go ahead.
presumably in like PTSD, like this doesn't work very well either, right? Because
no,
like I think, I mean, one of the things that happens in PTSD is extinction doesn't really happen. So like
yeah,
whatever that mechanism that's supposed to be happy doing that when you're exposed to the thing and nothing bad happens doesn't seem to be weakening that response anymore.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I mean, they have done mostly like MRI studies, I think, where they show that there's some formation, like there's something wrong with like the connectivity between the amygdala and the hippocampus because of long-term memory. But there's also something um, like there's no way to really target these connections.
Yeah.
But yeah, you
Mhm.
would wipe down other functions because it's like your brain
Yeah.
is your brain is tries to put as much information in the smallest space. So like it's not like
Yeah.
we're gonna be able to like target one thing.
I
Although I will. Oh, go ahead, Ruby.
No, I was gonna change the topic to this MRI um depiction in media that was super
Yeah.
confusing. So basically, in any medical drama, when they're like, oh, this person has like a fear disorder, or like this person is like a hero in war zone or something, they'll like show this like sad MRI, and then they'll do two hot spots where the amygdala is. And I wanted to like how much of that is not true? How much of
No,
like can you
no,
actually pull it out? Like, do you need to be like functionally MRI someone and like put them in this like fear state? Will it actually light up like that?
yeah, it's like incredibly reliable, I think.
Okay.
And there was like I was gonna go back to the patients that like there are people who are born without an amygdala, and like they don't exhibit fear, right?
Do they
Um,
die early because they just like
they And no, I mean they manage to survive, but like they're very like there. It's not just that they don't exhibit fear; they don't understand like emotions in other people's faces. Like they, when they look at you, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, this person is confused," or "This person is angry," or "This person is happy." Like they just can't distinguish that. So I found that's like one of the more interesting aspects
Oh, that
that
is
I
really
find.
fascinating.
Yeah,
I guess.
like go on.
How
Sorry.
does that connect to like you were saying about kind of like the amygdala is like a system for understanding value, but
Mhm.
then these people like so like they don't feel fear and they have trouble understanding other people's emotions, but like do they have like favorite foods? Like do they have other kinds of like their own like value functioning that's disrupted or other emotions that are disrupted?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think if you think about value, like I've been thinking about value a lot lately for some reason, but
Hmm.
like I think you can compute value in very different ways, right? Like there's
Hmm.
the dopaminergic system and the reward system, and then there's like the basic value of I have to survive, or like very
Hmm.
basic things. Why are you laughing?
No, I'm just thinking of I'm trying to think of I lost my thought. Could continue.
Yeah, so if you think about this value as like different layers, and like in neuroeconomics they think of it as like how much utility can I get out of this, and that's the value, and that's like how much can I use this to get what I want, right? But
Hmm.
then there's also innate value, which I think the amygdala is really good at, like because it's connected to the hypothalamus, because it's connected to these things where like they induce, fear and in yourself. So it's like an innate value of how do I protect myself in the most basic way? Like how do I reproduce in the most basic way? Like that's why we also see the amygdala in like maternal behaviors and like
Hmm.
aggression and these kinds of basic value encoding things.
I remember my
Hmm.
train of thought
Interesting.
now. You
Yeah.
remember that experiment with the capuchins where they're like, you do this thing, you give them the coin, you get a grape, and then the other capuchin. No, sorry. First, they give a cucumber, and then and then you show the other monkey. The monkey sees that, and then the monkey B like does the same task, and then you give them a cucumber, and then he'll eat it and be like, fine, it's a cucumber, and then he sees the first monkey do it again, and then he gets a grape, and a grape is like tastier. So
And
like
then he
that second
throws
monkey just like fuck this, I'm out. Like, and he like chucks the cucumber at the investigator, and like that's like clearly like a value. It's like I did the same work. Why am I not getting paid the
yeah,
grape, like the
that's
full
like
grape?
competition. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if like you ablated the amygdala, like they would never learn that association. Do you know what I mean? They'll just be like, "Yep, did the job, get the food, get like." Do
Get
you know
the
what I mean? They
food
don't like
like
the
yeah, there's
value
no
of the
like
grape,
preference.
cucumber, like the preference is gone. Like you lose.
Hmm.
Like that's a way to like measure it
It's but
fairly.
there's a lot happening there as well, right? Like you saw another monkey having something better than you, and that's why
Yeah.
you're mad. Like
Okay, so that's a value.
there's a
Like it's
whole
like multiple.
social, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
layers to it. And like that's
Hmm.
jealousy. That's like I'm doing the same work and you're not giving me the same reward. Like it's more entangled in that like social competition thing where we behave in a certain ways in the social environment that we don't behave when we're alone, right?
yeah.
But yeah,
Hmm.
I don't like. I think like people usually think of it as like amygdala to some parts of the prefrontal cortex that like are supposed to encode this kind of complicated reward. And but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, honestly. It's like, we always think of the brain and we try to chop it up into this area does that and this area does this, but I feel like it's more like little knobs on like just fine tuning things when they need to be
Hmm.
fine tuned.
No.
But
how old is the amygdala evolutionarily? Like can you find it in fish and lizards? Do you know what I mean? Like do you find it all
Yeah,
across the animal kingdom? Do you find them, do you know what I mean, like, or in like equivalent in
yeah.
even lower animals? Like
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, I'm not sure, but it is part of like the limbic system, right? So
yeah,
presumably very
it's
old
part of the
brain.
old ancient
Yeah.
systems. Yeah, but then again, people live without it, right? Or these congenital humans that were born without them.
But like that's what your brain is good at doing, especially as a kid, like is compensating. Like
Yeah,
even
that's
even
true.
in Parkinson's disease, you have to like lose 70% of your dopaminergic neurons to develop
Like
uh
any symptoms, yeah.
yeah. So it's
Mm.
Yeah.
like your brain is really good at making do, but also
Yeah,
maybe
if it's like slow and gradual, like it's like a
Yeah.
race against plasticity, right? Like you
yeah,
you can like, and if you're a child, you have like all the powers of
endless.
childhood
Yeah.
plasticity.
But also, it only helps in certain ways. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, like they still are able to eat, but they do have these deficits in like feeling fear. Like, for some reason, the brain can't compensate for that, which I think is interesting.
Mm.
Yeah. But okay, so do you think the substrate of like the fear for this fuzzy white animal or whatever, or fuzzy white thing, is it stored in the hippocampus? Like is this
Your
like
guess is as good as mine.
as
Because I
anyone else?
would, yeah, because I would think, yeah, hippocampus is a candidate place for that. Because
Yeah.
there's also connections to like CA3, which is very good at like associative memory and like this kind of recurrent network. So probably it's like it fits, right? And I'm
Yeah, it
pretty
does fit
sure
the
someone
story.
has looked at CA3 and amygdala and like found something similar. I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
You know, now I'm really thinking hard about Nathan's choice of mad scientist really hard.
What's his choice?
Well, you want to talk about the TV show that you
Oh
wanted to
yeah,
talk about today?
Severance.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Severance.
yeah. So have any of you watched Severance?
I got
Yeah,
through
I
two
started.
episodes of it.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you, Rowan? I want to minimize Severance spoilers if
oh well, I'm like
possible.
still on season one. I can't seem to get on the. I don't know. I'm like not that into it. I think it just creeps me out a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Easy
Some people in
Neuro
the
says
chat have
I
seen it.
watched. Anyway, so I've also watched Severance. I just finished the second season a while ago. And actually, so like the evil company, like their plot with this program called Cold Harbor, like their plot actually basically just turned out to be like a research project that I was working on, which is like a really interesting thing to happen. But basically, a part of their plot is that they want to try and take traumatic memories and use this brain chip and essentially just erase the memory so that the person doesn't remember it, but also they don't have an emotional reaction to it. So they're putting people in these rooms that represent like horrible things that have happened to them, and they're looking to see if they have a reaction to it, and they don't because they've had this memory removed. And actually, this is so. I do memory research. A while ago, we actually found out that if you make people replay a memory in sleep by playing a sound that reminds them of that memory, that normally makes the memory stronger. But if you play the sound and then you immediately wake the person up, the memory actually gets weaker. They get worse at recalling this. And so we had a lab meeting and we were like, and we were like, oh well, we were thinking this was going to help people learn words, but actually it helps you like forget words, I guess. But then we were thinking like, what would you use this for? And our thought was like maybe some of these really traumatic memories that people don't want to remember. So for the last year or so, we've actually been running this online study where we're trying to do this, and people give us distressing memories, and then we try to so for some people we try and reactivate and weaken that memory in sleep. For some people we target a different memory, and some people we do nothing at all. And it's still ongoing, but we're seeing some really promising things with it.
I was gonna say, how do you control for just like sleep quality? Like, what if they just have all shit sleep quality, and shit quality means memory doesn't get consolidated, and like that normal process
Yeah, so
happens.
that's why we target a different memory. And so when we did these initial studies, which were not about emotional memory, but about memory for like object locations, what we found is that like we could literally make them forget the locations of specific objects selectively. So you reactivate a particular object, you saw they'd get a lot worse on that object if you then woke them up. And so
Oh,
it seems
okay.
like so when you use controls like that and you're reactivating different memories, you can actually say like, okay, it seems maybe there's some effect of sleep deprivation. There probably is, but then there's this additional effect where you're disrupting the specific memory.
Wait,
Um,
it's kind of cool that it doesn't even have to be like an emotional thing. Like it doesn't have to be
yeah,
a horrible negative thing. It's just like the chair is on the left side of this picture.
Mm.
And then tomorrow,
right.
like, and then you always pair
Uh-huh.
that chair with like the sound. And then like tomorrow, like it's like, where's this chair? And you can't place the location of the chair if it's targeted and if it wasn't
Exactly.
targeted.
Yeah.
That's
And that's
wild. That's so
that's
cool.
one of the things I'm really curious about. I think we don't fully understand is like in a cognitive sense, what is happening to the
Well,
memory when you do this? Like, are they getting it more confused with their memories of like the other chairs? Are they just struggling to remember it? That's something that people haven't really
I
looked at yet.
I
Um,
totally think it's just a byproduct of how our brains are wired. Like if something odd is happening, we need to know about it, even if it's useless, just to keep keep tags on it, you know?
Oh,
mhm,
like we're like
yeah,
tabbing
like
important
how you can
weird things.
reactivate
Yeah,
it.
like if there are
Yeah.
two things that are happening at once at this all the time, every time, then you're gonna learn to associate them, even if they're kind of useless.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
that
yeah,
won't be
definitely.
that's
Yeah.
not a strong, like it might not be strong, but it will be there. And it's
And it
probably
has big effects. Like, I mean, you can, so when we're strengthening memories with this technique, you can put a smell in a room where people are learning something. And then if you represent that smell during sleep or also during recall, you'll find that their memory is better.
yeah,
Um,
I'm always thinking like we should use olfaction. Like I got so upset. I was doing like an anatomy experiment and I really wanted like the amygdala connectivity to like the PFC to be the strongest, but it
Yeah.
was
mhm.
the strongest to the olfactory system.
I mean, that's because you were working with rodents.
Yeah, I
Rodents.
know.
Just because
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
use
their smell
olfaction.
is their biggest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they probably prioritize smell first, followed by like tactile, then and auditory, and then like vision, and like in that order. Yeah. FG293 says
I was
Nathan's stuff is
It was
wild.
wild though.
It
yeah,
is
it's
Yeah.
pretty
wild.
But
wild.
It
Yeah.
is so cool that you could do it selectively. Like you can do like the paired like Pavlovian
Where
thing,
can I sign up?
mm,
like condition like
yeah,
Nirvana's
I
like, please
can
block out these
actually
specific memories for me.
yeah,
Thanks.
I can send
All
you
of
the link to the web
2020,
app
all of
actually.
2021.
Yep.
uh
Um, I've actually like have considered using this on myself sometimes, but like
I
the
have
point
a
like I what but I think because we were talking about Mad Docs, I was like there was a little bit of a like, wait, are we the bad guys moment? And
I
like
know.
in our defense, like we don't kidnap people, unlike
mm,
the people in Severance.
not yet.
Like we don't pretend like they're dead. Like they just do a regular ass consent form. But like, so
Oh, and then
I think
no, okay, the severance part, the part where they're like, if you came back again, it means your other one consented
Yeah,
again to
yeah.
bring
mhm,
you
That was
back.
that was that
It
really
was like
confused me.
the level of gaslighting. It's like, this is bad, right? And then they're like, your other one brought you wouldn't come back if
Yeah,
the other
it's
one
our
knew it was
fault.
bad.
Crazy.
That is wild, but also like that consciousness, like the split personality consciousness that's just working all the time. That's all they experience. Like they just
mhm,
experience work and then they like wake up again. Their next conscious cycle, they're just working again.
yeah.
Oh
And
my
it's just
God.
like an unending like
Like
purgatory.
I struggle between wanting that and really hating that. Like I don't know what to do with myself. Like I'm just like I
Mhm.
you know. But then I was like,
Wait, you
"Fuck,
want the
man."
unending work life or just the unending I don't care what happened at work? Like
Like, no, I don't care what happened at work. Like, I just want to go, come out. I don't want to care.
So you'd want to be that Audi. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
experience the Audi
Yeah, I
person.
want the Audi life, you know.
So you think that Audi life person is actually wait, conceptually, like regardless of the show, could that person actually just genuinely be happy all the time, like oblivious to like a third of their life?
I don't think humans are made to be happy. But like, let's
You
not.
don't think so? You don't think they'll be like so curious what the other one's thinking?
It's work. Like, ugh,
No?
I don't know. It
Like
can be mindless. Like sometimes I go to work and I'm like, guess I'm
yeah,
here
I
today.
remember I remember in Psych they like talked about the people with like multiple personality disorders, and they like keep some personalities would keep like excessive notes on the other ones.
Unlike what the other personalities are doing. Just
Yeah,
because,
yeah,
yeah.
because they were so curious. You know what I mean? Like there's always a drive
Yeah.
to like reconnect yourself back to one. It just feels like
I feel like
splitting.
that's natural. Like it would be, I mean, I feel like people would feel disturbed to have gaps in their memory. Like I think that's something that people usually find
Yeah.
concerning.
Okay, so I have been knocked out one time in my life, and the hours leading up to it and the hours after it are some of the sharpest memories I have of that entire year. And this happened during like a global pandemic. So basically, I was hit by a car and I had like a concussion and I was out and I lost 45 minutes. And during those 45 minutes, I have no memory of it. But like I context clued and refilled as many of those gaps. I still have gaps, but I've gone through that cycle over and over again. My brain has like unconsciously gone through it so much that like I
You
think there's a fake
probably,
memory of it.
yeah.
Like
Do you
I was
think you
gonna
filled it
say you
in?
stitched
yeah, I
it
filled
in
it in because I
with
like
things that you know.
yeah, the site I woke up was not where I was hit. Like I got hit, I got up, I got back on my bike, I walked it somewhere, locked up my bike, called my partner, told him where I was, my phone was low on battery, and then passed out. And then woke up 45 minutes like eaten by mosquitoes, like laying on the grass. Like and then like I looked at and I was like, I don't know what the time is. Like I asked like my friend who came to find me. But like I have really sharp memory of like that in that like I know at that moment in time I don't have no memories of how I got from the crash site to where I passed out. There's no way.
It's like
But
adrenaline. Like you
yeah,
did
yeah.
the things
It's
your body did the thing that was like to protect itself.
yeah, like I got out of the road, I got my bike. I even locked my bike. How wild is that? Like I got my key, I locked my bike to a pole and then passed out. And called my partner, told him where I was before passing out. Like none of these things like I know because like someone told me I called at this time, and then like obviously I had to have walked because the bike was completely totaled. There's no way I could have biked it, so obviously I walked. And like I like now I can imagine myself doing it, but like actually the memory's gone. And like it's like our brains are actively trying really hard to refill the gaps. And I wonder if you like do the do the severance thing, it's always going to try and figure out what the other one's doing. Do you know what I mean? Like the other consciousness, which I assume would be this equivalent, would be like the Ruby that's at work would be the Ruby that like picked up her bike, the crashed bike, the one that like walked it back into the neighborhood, locked it up, did the responsible call of the thing. That Ruby, do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
And then like this conscious Ruby, the current one that I remember consciously, that one is always trying to reconstruct whatever that
Like
happened.
figure out what's going on.
Yeah. And it's
if
like
you think of vision, that's your vision does that, right? Like
yeah, that's
one
true.
eye, it creates the rest.
Yeah.
What it knows. So, but yeah, go on. Sorry.
That makes sense. Yeah, and I think as a memory researcher watching Severance, so one of the theories that I have about it is the reason that the severed floor looks so weird is to actually try and prevent that from happening. So kind of So like we remember things mostly based on context, and that's actually a thing that'll happen sometimes. Is like when you have someone who is struggling to remember something after like a head injury or being on drugs, if you put them into the same context, they'll find it much easier to remember it. So I think the severed floor is actually designed so that like nothing looks like it does in the outside world, and that's part of how like what helps the severance procedure work.
Interesting, because I was like, why is this so big and white and green?
Like, why do they
Yeah,
use
the
such weird
hallways.
computers? I think it is so that nothing reminds you of being at work when you're not at work.
Oh,
Um,
that's
that's my
wild.
theory, anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I
should have
would,
thought a little bit more. I'll pay more
yeah,
attention when I finish
no,
this
like, no,
show.
this is just like because I'm a memory researcher. I'm just like, hmm. Also, it's really cool that like the task they have the refiners do is like an implicit learning task. So like it works fine, like even if you're severed. But
Yeah.
um
Now I really want to like improve my memory because I feel like I have no problem losing memory. Like I lose things all the time. Like I'll drop a memory before like I even used it. Like I'll be like, I need to go to the other room to get blank. And then I get to the other room. Now it's just like I made it. What I why was I here again?
Ruby, that's so ADHD, by the way.
I know.
Because I've like I'm worse because on the way to the other room I'll be like, oh, I should stop and do this first, and then I'll finish doing that and I'll be like, where was I going? What was I doing?
Yeah. So we all have some of us experience this. Like
severance. We've
no, not
experienced
severance.
severance.
Just like these like little memory lapses that I don't remember. I don't recall them being as frequent
Is it
as
memory
Yeah.
now.
or is it
But like,
attention?
okay, that kind of is severance though, because like we do know like there's this thing where people, and it's also context based. So it's like people will leave a room and then forget what they were doing, and it's really very similar to what's happening in the movie, but or in the show. But really, what's going on is you are in a context that is supporting this memory, and then you leave that context, and you no longer have access to that memory.
Yeah, that's true. Well, okay. I think the reason it really bothers me is because I have such good memories of like childhood era. Like I could in my like if I close my eyes, I can reconstruct like Mind Palace, like so many places I did when I was I was at as a child. Like I can like Mind Palace like every classroom in my elementary school, for example. I can Mind
Wow.
Palace like I have these in my brain and they're completely useless because why do I need to know like how many doors there are in the hallway on the specific floor and like the numbering patterns and like where the lockers are? But like when I was a child, like all the lockers look the same, so you had to memorize the lockers without context clues because they're all just blue lockers, and so you would need to know, right? And to this day, it's uselessly still in my head. And like if you put me in my high school right now, I can find you all 4 lockers I used every single year. Like to this day, I can do that. Can we like reuse this Mind Palace and like assign them useful things in like the current time? Like give me like really
I
hard
mean, your
things to
brain
memorize.
isn't as efficient. Like that.
No, it isn't. It was like, yeah, these are really important things for you to survive as a being on this planet. You know, your ancestors really needed this. And I uselessly filled it with a bunch of random maps of
I mean, don't we all?
But so people who use mind palaces as a memory technique, what they would say you should do is you would take like a figure from a paper you want to remember, and you would actually visualize putting it in that locker. And then when you go back to the locker, like the figure is in there, and you can be like, oh yeah, the Krelock's
Neat
nice
trick.
behaved like this because it's like I can see it, it's in this locker.
Maybe I should start using Miss Mind Palace because I have a palace that's empty.
So there's nothing in the lockers
No,
in
there's
your
nothing in the
mind palace.
lockers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should start storing stuff in your mind palace.
Yeah.
Or like mind storage unit, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
But okay, but on the other hand, that means there's like some crazy like cool mechanism that existed when I was a child that is clearly no longer there. Do you know what I mean? Like I no longer have mind palaces of even places I was 2 years ago. Like my graduate school, like no idea where anything is.
Really?
Yeah, like grad school. Can you like, you know, redo your campus from grad school?
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can? Okay. Well, maybe you still can do it. I think I've lost it. Like if you plop me back in where my previous work was.
Well, it's connected to a lot of traumatic events. No.
You're like, oh yeah, this is the Sarah where I cried after the experiment completely failed and had to rechange,
No, I
change,
remember like one
change the
time
trajectory of my PhD.
during like UCL was like such an old building, such a weird layout. Like one time I had to carry my bike up 2 flights of stairs so I could leave through the exit that was open, even though I biked in an entrance that is now closed. So it was just like so, and I remember going to the guy and being like, please open the door. And he's like, we told you we close at 7. I was like, I don't want to be here at 9:30, but let me out. So I had to like literally carry my bike. So
You were locked in your lab accidentally.
I was locked inside campus. Like basically because UCL is like near Soho, so they
Mhm.
lock it at night. And like there's only a
Uh,
couple of gates that are open, and I forgot about this. And anyway, I have to carry my
Got
bike.
it. So
So you had
like
to go
no
and find that
randos can can't walk on campus or into
Yeah,
a
I'm
building.
not after a certain hours at least.
Yeah. That's
Anyway,
fair.
sorry, I like went on a tangent, but yeah, I
No. We
remember.
like tangents.
I remember like UCL really well. I think I don't know.
Okay, well, so I guess you have a memory palace too, but yours is not from like elementary school, right?
No, I don't have that. Maybe
it's
I
just a
wish
VCL.
I did that.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think it's just the most recent, probably. I changed schools a lot when I was a kid. Not a
Yeah.
lot, but like 4 times, which I feel like is a lot.
yeah. Wait, actually, we wanted to actually do the full interview thing, which was like, tell
Yeah.
us about yourself, like where you grew up,
Oh,
how you
yeah.
did science, like how'd you get into science, like how did you get into like the amygdala study, like all that stuff,
Yeah.
like tell us about your things.
My things.
Yeah.
Okay. So where to start? So I grew up in Saudi Arabia. I think one thing that maybe both of you don't know about me is that up until like I got to university, I was studying everything in Arabic. So like my math was in Arabic, my science was in Arabic, and like I had to do this like 1 year switch when I got into university in the UK. So
Oh wait, that's really abrupt. Like
yeah,
you were like 18 years old and like did everything in Arabic and then
and then
suddenly had to
yeah,
like switch.
yeah. And I would just be sitting there and being like, I know what this is called in Arabic. I don't know how to say it in
Yeah.
English.
Oh, that's so wild. Wait,
Yeah.
so are sentence patterns in Arabic similar to English or not at all?
No, it's not. It's very
No.
like it's not this. It's you wouldn't notice it, but like if I hang out with my Saudi friends or Arabic friends for a while, like my English will sound like my Arabic, you know. So I'll say things like instead of saying turn off the light, I'll say close the light, which is like
Yeah, because
I
there's
think
just
they
like
do that
one
in
action
Spanish too.
term for all of
Yeah,
it. That makes
yeah.
sense. Oh, that's
And
wild.
yeah. And I remember like I don't know if you guys have this, but like I remember the day I like fell in love with science. Like that's a memory that I have.
What?
Like
Okay, you'd have to share that. The
so
day, the
I
actual
remember
day.
I remember like exactly what I was doing and exactly what I was hearing and exactly who was in front of me.
What? Okay, wait. How old are you? Where were you?
I was in 4th grade. I was like, how old are you in 4th grade? I don't know, like 7, 8.
Yeah, 5. You're 5 in kindergarten. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or
Yeah.
9. Yeah.
And I was like, usually, so I'm the kind of kid that sits in the back and like takes a nap or reads something, like reading like a story or whatever underneath and then like our science teacher, this is like when we started having science as like a subject, and our science teacher was like going through this chapter of like, how do you hear? How do you see? How do you taste? And I was like, how? That's insane. Like, how do you tell me? And I literally got up from the back, switched with a girl in the front so I can listen.
Wait, in the middle of class?
Yeah. I was like, get out of here.
So, like there's someone there and you're just like, okay, move. This is interesting.
Like, make way, a future scientist here. I want to know about the facts.
I want to learn this. And I was like
What?
staring at my teacher. I was like, tell me more. And she's like, are you okay?
What? Why are
She's
you
like,
not
why
doing
did you
sensory
why did you
experiments with me in
shove
lab
this
right now?
girl? She's just like, why did you shove this girl out of her seat?
No, she was more like, you're not like the kind of student that would do this. She's like, how are you like now interested? Anyway, so that
Yeah.
I remember really well.
Wow, 4th grade. Very good. And then how did it continue? Like, Or
Oh
like where?
yeah, so I did biomedical sciences at university, and like it was basically where all the reject medics went. So if you if you didn't get into medicine, they'd be like, "You want to have this? You want to go to this?" But like, I hated those people because I was like, I hate medicine. Like, I don't want to. No offense, but like, I just don't want to do medicine. Like, it's not interesting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I don't know. I like landed in neuroscience randomly. I think I was just interested in like, wow, the brain can create things. What organ can do that? Like, it can like create
Wait,
your reality.
I was gonna say all organs create things.
Oh no, like create your reality. Like I don't
That's
know.
true.
That's what I was thinking. Plus I had a younger brother who had like learning difficulties, so that brought me into it a bit. Yeah, and then I did all my studying in the UK, so I moved there when I was like 16, 17, and stayed there till I finished my PhD at 32. I'm old.
Wait, you started college at 16.
Yeah, I graduated early.
Okay, child prodigy. You graduated like 2 years early.
But I had to do this 1 year of like converting my Arabic brain to an English brain thing. So
Yeah.
like I had to do like this foundation year. But yeah. And then yeah. I was in basically I was in this city north of England called Sheffield that was like known for steel, and like it's very cold and it's very close to Scotland.
Wait, they
Um,
have a different accent. Like,
yeah, yeah.
have
I
you
was
adopted accents when you're in different locations?
I think I have like sometimes I sound pretty like British, and sometimes I think I just sound like international kid English, honestly.
Yeah,
But
like a
yeah.
mixed accent.
But like when I first moved there from Saudi and everyone was calling, "You all right, love?" And I was just like, "Why are you calling me love? I'm not your love." I was really confused.
No,
uh,
that's really cool.
it's a conservative society too, so I was like, "Why are you calling me love?"
Oh yeah.
uh,
It's
Yeah,
just like, are
and
you hitting on me? What's going on?
I was confused.
have you found moving to America really confusing, like culture shock wise, and as a scientist, like is it super different?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I don't know. Like, I didn't expect much. I was like, Boston can't be. It's New England. It's kind of the same. The
Yeah,
new
oh, it's gonna be
colony.
like Boston too, right? It's New England.
Yeah, I was just like, but yeah, I think I don't know. London was such a I don't know if it was my age or it's such a party town. Like people are so down to go out and do things and like the randomest things, and there's always something happening. Now I'm just like tired thinking past 9:30, you know?
Yeah. I feel like Boston is like the opposite of that. Like just as the city.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
actually,
for sure. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
sleepy at 9:30 is probably okay in Boston, honestly.
Yeah.
Everything
It
is
was not
closed.
Like
okay in
everything's
London.
closed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
There's not even good takeout really open open that late. Like after midnight, like genuinely, like it's so hard to find food.
I know.
Um, okay, cool. We kind of reversed ordered the origin stories of our villains, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
now we want to reach back to our childhood villains. We got like,
Oh yeah, Ruby, do you want to talk about
Yeah.
okay,
your
I wanted to
favorite?
start with
Yeah.
mine because I have this like slight fear that we're telling the world and all the future generations of children that scientists are evil and mad, and it's just because of how popular the mad scientist trope is. Like most of kids,
Have you
including
seen some
myself.
PIs? You know, like
I
maybe it's
know,
not
I
wrong.
know, I know, I know, but also like I don't want to be a villain. Like in real life, like I'd like to think I'm a protagonist, but and
You
like
are definitely
most
not a villain.
no, but like every child growing up that's eventually possibly will be a scientist, but possibly will not, and could get turned away because the only exposure to a scientist they have is like for me the evil character in
Evil Lynn.
Kim Possible, Dr. Draken. That was my first like scientist exposure as a child. It was this dude being like evil, and followed by like Jurassic
Wait,
Park.
wasn't it Bill Nye the Science Guy?
Bill Nye was great. So like, yeah, okay, you get Bill Nye, but Bill Nye's not. He's a real human. He's not
Mm.
like
A
a
Not a
cartoon
fictional
character.
character, like
Yeah.
living his life and like interacting with like regular people. Like in Kim Possible, you root for Kim, right? Like you're not rooting for Dr. Draken.
What about Dexter's Laboratory?
That was yours? Like when you were
Yeah, that was,
I
Dexter
mean,
was like in his basement lab, and his
I
sister Dee Dee was like,
no,
no.
but like she would ruin everything, right? Like he would like be, this genius, and then everything would get like would get fucked by.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, no, it's not a
But
good.
so you're concerned that kind of that this is the picture that people have of
yeah.
scientists.
Like, can you think of a fictional positive scientist? Because by the
Mark
time,
Watney in The Martian.
yeah, okay, but that came out
True,
significantly later.
it's much later.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for me, the equivalent. So when I finally met them, saw them on media, I thought, wow, it's amazing. Like they really stuck. And for me, it was simultaneously an evil and a good person in
Yeah.
in Jurassic Park. Like when I saw Dr. Sattler for the first time, like she was just like, wow, look at these plants, and then they're like, yo, you're missing the dinosaurs. And I was just like, wait, you could be her. You can just be so into plants that you can completely miss a fucking dinosaur walk across the screen. And I was just like, yeah, okay, that's
I think
cool.
you are her.
I know, like I
Yeah.
really
No,
identified
she
it
really
with her.
is.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, wait, they exist. They could be good people. Like they could be like, wait, hold on, reason. Like, should we really be having an entire island full of dinos? That's probably not a great idea. And I was just like, okay, wait, they're not all evil. you could have good
Good one.
scientists too. Yeah, and it was like it took a lot longer. Like you saw a lot more like cartoon evil, Dr. Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde. Like you saw a lot more of those first before you got to ever meet, someone with a PhD that is not evil.
Yeah. that's
Or,
true.
or like the media's obsession with like multiple PhDs. Like who does that? Who gets multiple
Yeah.
PhDs?
I don't know. One was traumatizing enough.
It's wild.
Have you seen the meme about supervillains where it's like this villain has a PhD and it's like general public. Oh, clearly that means he's very smart. And then it's like scientists. Clearly academia drove him to evil.
Like grad school caused this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think generally science needs to rehab. Like we need to
Are you-
rehab our image because like we have done seriously ethically horrible things, including like shocking little Albert into being scared of fluffy white things. But we've done like really horrific things in the past too, and like we need to talk about it and like come to like we have to deal with it as a society, but also
I know,
like
but,
maybe
like,
we
do you think, I think it's a trick of it's part of the deal, honestly. Like we're doing, like whenever I'm telling someone like, oh, like I'm gonna, look at a mouse today, they're like, are you gonna kill it? I was like, no. Like they just think we're evil. Like, why are you doing this to a mouse? Like, what is the question? And I
yeah
don't know. It
like
it's
is your
way
question
deeper.
important enough to kill an
Yeah.
animal over?
But
Like is
obviously,
every
I'm a
question you ask?
lunatic, and I think it's the most important. I'm not a lunatic, but like a fanatic, and I think
No.
that this is the most important question that should be asked. Otherwise, I wouldn't be dedicating like my youth to it or like all this time.
Yeah.
Or, right?
Well, I do think society has, or even science has moved away from like we've moved like our morals, like it has moved and shifted with the times, right? Like we don't
But is it
catch
always
stray
there?
cats and
But
patch
do you
them
think-
anymore.
Do you think that's what they thought at the time? Like, do you think maybe, like 50 years from now, they'll be like, yo, these idiots, and like, why were they doing this to the mice? Can you imagine? Like,
Yeah,
you
why
think,
did you
like-
breed like hundreds of animals just to ask
Yeah.
one little question?
yeah.
Like you could just CRISPR 10 now.
Yeah,
You'll have
they
10
will
your whole
find-
cohort in
yeah,
one go.
yeah, there you go.
Or you use an organoid and just grow things in cell culture.
I don't
or
believe in
I
organoids.
think
They're dead
Mhm.
inside, literally.
but
Like
I think like
actually they're dead
Fuck
inside.
organoids. They're creepy as fuck. Like, I hate them.
But like I think eventually we'll be able to make good ones. And I guess
I
like
hope
I
so.
guess the
Yeah.
thing I suspect is like probably in the future like there's I feel like there's different ways that people retrospect on like stuff. It's like when people were kidnapping cats, like we genuinely are like why the hell did they do that? There's other kinds of experiments where are like, okay, that sucked, but kind of like clearly that was the only way they could do it at the time. And I feel like a lot of the animal experiments are going to be more in that category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like
I mean,
like when we're
afterlife
talking about like,
is
oh,
how I
why did
sleep
you
at
have to
night.
dig up dead people to study anatomy? Like just because that was the only way that it worked at the time. Like
yeah, that was a
um
rough era.
yeah.
The grave robbing era was real
I
rough.
was I was gonna say though, I think it's really interesting that you brought up Jurassic Park, Ruby, because have you read the book? Um
Yeah, I have
yeah,
only read the one Jurassic Park book, but I haven't.
yeah.
I am. It is all of his entire series of books are on my to read list.
Yeah. So Ian Malcolm, the mathematician in that book, actually he goes on like this big monologue, which is basically actually capturing Michael Crichton's point. And he's basically like everyone should be scared of scientists because they're powerful. I think that's an interesting thing, like when we're talking about the media, is that like there is this, I mean, like Michael Crichton in this book, he calls it like genetic power. It's this idea that like people can make like a completely different kind of organism because they want to, or they could like I think kind of that's part of why this mad scientist trope is so powerful, is like the idea that people can like edit your memories or can make animals that haven't existed before, or can like change genes to do different things, or change how the climate works, is like that's a lot of power, and people think about like that in the frame of corruption and they find it scary.
Got it. Um, and like in the couple instances where we have done horrible things, it becomes
Mhm.
it's like the bad apple that
It's very
spoils.
detrimental to
Yeah,
the
that
entire
Yeah.
spoils the
cause.
pot, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like I always we always like to try where our new thing is we're gonna try and end positively, which is
Yeah. I don't know.
which is there are so many good things that are just not getting called out. Like we're
No,
like for
that's
every
true.
like
It's
horrific
like
thing.
less sensational, right? Like,
Yeah, it's really boring when they're just like, yeah, we're not dying
I
of
mean, let's talk about,
cholera.
vaccination
Yeah.
was not patented,
Yeah.
given to everyone. That's a
Yep.
good thing.
Yeah.
I feel like our social conception of scientists is kind of like wizards though. Like it's like I think that's kind of how a lot of people
It's
think
very
about it, is that
medieval.
scientists are
Yeah.
like these beings who can do stuff, and like sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really bad, and you're like not entirely sure if they're on your side or not, so like you're a little leery.
Mm.
Oh. Oh yeah, now I'm thinking about like the witch hunts. I actually recently
Mhm.
went to Salem.
Salem.
A couple of
Yeah.
weekends ago I went to Salem and we went to the witch museum. And it was actually a really nice museum. Like it's not very large, but like the ideas were very nice because it talked about like, you know, basically witch trials, like, having this craze where you're like are really scared of people or things that you're doing that you didn't understand could cause like this like large en masse like horrible thing individual people wouldn't do to each other, but they would if it's like you're just in this environment and it could happen again, and it's literally an idea and being scared of things that you didn't understand, and that's so
Mhm.
scary. Or like people that were different, just
Yeah.
literally a small group of people that are different from you, they could get targeted, and it happens in every generation and it continues to happen now. um and
Yeah,
that's
we're
those.
doing a really bad job at ending this on a
No,
positive note.
the positive note is that now we understand that that's a thing and we can like
Oh,
try
okay,
and get ahead
yeah.
of it. Come on.
Fair enough.
Oh, anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We are out of time. Come say hi to us again next week at 9:30 Thursday